People say knitting is an expensive hobby, but I really don't think it has to be. I purchased my knitting setup when I was a broke college student, and I still use that same minimalist knitting setup today because it does everything I needed to do. It does it well, and I haven't felt the need to upgrade. If you are a new knitter who's on a budget, I don't think you need to spend a lot to knit and to knit really beautiful things. Here is everything that is in my minimalist knitting kit, and you can make incredible things for a really long time. Believe it or not, this is my entire knitting kit. It's contained in these two bags, with the exception of my yarn, which is stored in my closets, and my ball winder and Swift. This is everything that I own as far as my knitting supplies. This little blue bag is my on-the-go pouch. For those millennials in the crowd, you might be surprised to see. This is an old Ipsy bag. I used to subscribe to Ipsy back when I was in college. I don't anymore, but these little bags are perfect for carrying little doodads. If you are looking for something like this, any like cosmetics bag will do. When I am knitting, I usually have my project in some sort of bag. Doesn't have to be a knitting bag. It could be a tote bag from Trader Joe's. And this will go in with my knitting project. Because with this little bag and my knitting, I'm gonna have everything I need on the go. The first thing in this bag is this little Clover needle holder. I love this thing. This is actually the second one I've purchased. The first one was very well loved and the top did crack, but this thing is like $3, so it was worth it to me to buy another one. There are two categories of items that always live inside of this. The first is a darning needle, and I usually have a few different variations of these. This one actually came with the Clover holder. And the second is the key for my interchangeable needles. You don't want to be caught without one of those, so I usually have a few at any given time inside of this sheath so I can tighten my needles on the go. One of the biggest complaints I've heard about interchangeable needles is that the tips will unscrew while you're knitting. If you use that key to tighten them, you will not experience that anymore. So a must to always have that key with me. I always have a tape measure. These are not very expensive, but they're super handy when it comes to knit for X inches before your next move. I love to have a little scissor. The ones I've used have changed over the years. Right now I'm really into this one and I have repurchased it. It's from Knit Picks. One thing I really like about it is that it doesn't have any sharp pieces sticking out until you're ready to use it. And then it unfolds just like this. It was only a few bucks. I really like this. And I will say, I'm not going to endorse this, but when you go through TSA, they can't quite tell this is a scissor. So I've been on a few flights where I haven't had any issues with this scissor. Next up, I have these little tins. This one has been in my knitting bag for a long time, and I recently added this one, but these hold my stitch markers. The selection or variety of what stitch markers I have will change at any given time. Right now, there's a whole hodgepodge of them, but can't leave home without stitch markers. This second tin is dedicated to row counting stitch markers. I'm really, really into these. If you're knitting anything that has repeats, like a sweater sleeve, something that has you repeat a move every X number of rounds, these are really helpful for that. So love these. Those have been a fairly new addition to my knitting kit, but they live with my stitch markers. I always have with me, a little bit unconventional, a nail clipper and a nail file. I especially like this nail file because it comes in a little case, so it kind of stays nice and scratchy. But there is nothing worse, in my opinion, than getting a broken nail that catches on your knitting every stitch. I must have a nail clipper and a nail file with my knitting. Always. It's for my comfort, it's for my sanity. Have to have those. Those live in my knitting bag. For the same reason, I almost always have some sort of lotion in my bag. Right now I have this stick lotion that I ordered on TikTok shop, kind of just a random brand. I'm not loyal to any specific brand. This is kind of nice because you can just rub it on the backs of your hands and then the palms stay dry for knitting. So I'm liking this one. It also doesn't spill because it's a stick. I usually like to pick out some sort of a lanolin or sheepy lotion at Rhinebeck every year, and that will live in my knitting bag, but this is the one I'm using right now. A couple of miscellaneous items. I have some hydrocortisone cream. I usually have a Band-Aid in there too. A Lactaid tablet that I think is expired. I'm gonna have to update this. And this is a new item that I added. It's like a little suction cup and it magnetizes to your phone. It's just kind of nice if you want to take a picture of your knits in your outfit or do a little video. This is nice to have, and it's been living in my knitting bag because I've been making more knitting videos. So that's everything that lives in this pouch, and this pouch always lives with my knitting project in the moment. I often have more than one knitting project going at a time, so this is really easy to pull out of one bag and stick in another and bring with me to knit night or the cafe or whatever I'm doing. This lives with me with my knitting project. Always. Sometimes I'm going on a longer trip. Maybe I'm going out of town for a couple of days, or I know that I need to do something on my project, like switch my needle to a different size. If that's the case, then I want to have the second part of my knitting kit with me, and that is in this bag. It's my interchangeable needle set plus a couple extras. You'll see that I have all of my needle tips organized in the center section. Right now, I am working through 3 different Knit Picks interchangeable sets. I have my wooden tips. This was the first interchangeable set I ever bought, and when I was a newer knitter, I made the upgrade to an interchangeable set, and it was this Knit Picks wooden set. They still sell them, love it, but eventually I did become more of a metal needles gal, and so I switched over to my Knit Picks nickel-plated options interchangeable needles, and I just think these are perfect. They've served me well for 15 plus years. I love knitting with them. I've never had a problem, never had a complaint, never had an issue, and if I did ever have an issue, like once or twice I snapped a size 4 tip by sitting on it, Knit Picks replaces it for free, no questions asked, no problems. Their customer service is exceptional. I love them so much that this past Black Friday, I went ahead and purchased a second Knit Picks options nickel-plated interchangeable knitting needle set because I love it so much, and in case I had tips in one project, I wanted to make sure I had enough for another. So these are all of my knitting needle tips, and they live in here. The Knit Picks options, I think, are really the best bang for your buck.
Real talk for a second. I looked in the archives, I looked into my receipts. I wound up spending $36.74 on this second nickel option set. And so for the sake of this video, that's the price that I'm going to use because I think that you can get this good of a deal too. Let's also be super real right now. I just showed you 3 interchangeable knitting needle sets. For the sake of this video, you really don't need more than one. I happen to upgrade over the years when I want to switch from wood to metal. I think you just need the one. So let's base the price for the sake of this video on just the one set of metal needles. You're going to buy it with a discount code. You're going to get it for $36. It's going to serve you well for as long as you need it. Let's go with it.
Now, some of you might be in the comments saying, I love my Chowgoos, I love my Addies, I love my $200 knitting needle set. We can have that conversation at another time in another video. All I'm saying is I think the Knit Picks are the best bang for your buck. If you have a sale, you can get these for around $50 for a metal set. When I bought these for Black Friday, it was less than $50 for a full interchangeable knitting needle set, and these have lasted me 15 plus years. So that's everything in the center section of this bag. I will say that maybe the one thing I would want to upgrade here is this bag, just because if I turn it the wrong way, the needles do have a tendency to slide out. So we're going to try and hold this upright. I love to use a locking stitch marker to just keep the key for my interchangeable set right on the zipper here. That way, when it's time to tighten my needles, I don't have to go looking for it. The first thing we'll find is just a box of odds and ends. This is an assortment of stitch markers and one of the locking tips that goes on the end of my interchangeable cables. These boxes are pretty cheap to order online, and this one is getting empty because stitch markers like these get lost all the time, so probably time for me to refill this. I also have some cables and a couple of loose fixed needles just kind of tossed in. These are often more organized, but right now they're just kind of shoved in there and it works for me. On the other side, I have a couple more fixed needles. I should probably just put these both on the same side. I have this Susan Bates needle gauge and gauge measurement tool. I think this is great. It's a classic. It's a couple bucks. I have purchased fancier ones, and I keep going back to this one because it fits so well in the pouch with everything else, and it works. So I love it. I have a couple of loose stitch markers over here, and I have one kind of sad piece of barber cord. Usually I keep some barber cord rolled up in both of these pouches, but it looks like it's in my projects right now. So this is also a helpful thing, is some pre-cut lengths of barber cord. Okay, really, genuinely, you guys, that was it. That's everything that's in these 2 pouches, and this is my entire knitting setup. When I'm going on vacation, I grab these 2 things, and I have all my knitting stuff that I could possibly need. When I'm going to knit night, I bring both of these, and I have everything I need, even to like help a friend with a knitting project right here. I don't think it's necessary to own a ball winder and Swift, but it definitely makes life easier. I've gone through a bunch of them over the years, and I haven't fully been satisfied in any of them that I've owned. They all seem to give me trouble. So eventually I'd love to upgrade to some like really fancy ones and see if that makes a difference. Like, this is it. This is everything I've used to knit for 15 years, with the exception of yarn. If you want to splurge on fancy stuff, do it. Treat yourself. Enjoy the hobby. It's for fun, but you don't need to spend a lot to knit. And maybe we'll save our conversation about which knitting needles are worth the extra money and which ones are scamming you for a different video. I'm really curious, what's in your knitting kit? Did I miss any of your essentials, or were there some things in my kit that surprised you? And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like it and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. It was really nice to talk knitting with you all today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.